Hi, everyone. Welcome to Class 1 of Bonnie's 2025 Fall Series on Cultivating Breath, Illuminating Mind. Thank you for being here. It's wonderful to be together again for those of you who have been joining Bonnie for her past online series. And it's a gift to be with everybody who is joining her for the first time here. It does take a team to make Bonnie's online classes happen, and we're going to take a moment to introduce everybody who is working behind the scenes to make this possible. My name is Basha. I'm the project manager for Bonnie's books, videos, and events. I'm also her daughter. We have Bonnie and Len. Len is Bonnie's husband, my father, and Isa.
Hi everyone, I'm Isa. I'm Bonnie and Len's son and Basha's brother. Thank you for taking the time to be here with us, and we're looking forward to sharing with you.
And Amardeep.
Hi, everybody. My name is Amardeep. I've been running IT support for Bonnie's remote events and classes since 2020. So happy to be back in session.
Yes, Amardeep has become part of the family as well. In addition to hosting this class on Zoom, we are simultaneously broadcasting it on YouTube Live. If you experience any issues in Zoom or would prefer to use it to go to YouTube, we will post the link to that in the chat in just a moment. You can also find the link to the class on YouTube Live in the same email as your Zoom link. If you haven't already introduced yourselves in the chats, please take a minute to do so. Bonnie and the whole team would love to know who's joining us today, where you're from, why you decided to join this series. Um, it's a wonderful way to connect with you because we cannot see you. Only the Bonnie's team's videos can be seen in a webinar. And we do open each class 15 minutes early so that we can mingle a little bit in the chat if you'd like to join us. Okay, so for the class, if you have questions for Bonnie about the material she presents in class, please type those into the Q&A in Zoom. If you just type them into the chat, it's possible that we could miss them. The chat can move very quickly. We also recommend that you post your questions in the chat because there is a lot of experience in the chat where people can respond to your questions as well in there. And on YouTube, if you have questions for Bonnie about the material she presents, please type it into the chat there. If you have questions for Bonnie's team in Zoom, please also type those into the Q&A so we don't miss them in the chat. If there is time at the end of class, Bonnie will respond to as many questions as she can. If she doesn't get to yours or she doesn't get to any, she does read them after class, and they do help her to prepare for the next class. In Zoom, in both of the Zoom and YouTube, we do have guidelines for our chat and community. Please take a minute to read those on our 2025 Fall Series resources page if you haven't already. I'm going to briefly go over them now here in the first class. Our chats are a social place for public discussion of the material Bonnie presents. Please treat discussions with the same respect you would if you are having them face to face. The chat and other spaces related to this series are shared community resources. And we have 5 guidelines. 1, the chat is a place for you to share with Bonnie and other participants your experience with the material being presented in class. Advertising or promoting your classes, events, or services, websites, books, videos, etc., in the chat is not permitted. We are a community of learners with a common interest in the body-mind relationship through movement, touch, and consciousness. Please keep comments and discussions supportive and focused on helping each other in these explorations. It is not a forum for political, social, or religious issues. This space is a sanctuary for all participants. Please treat everyone with respect. And thank you for respecting and following our community and chat guidelines. We do encourage you to communicate with each other and Bonnie in the chats. We aren't able to be with you in person or see you through video. So the chat as I said before, is a wonderful way that we can connect with each other. And reading the full chats, all of your thoughts, questions, experiences after class brings Bonnie a lot of joy, and they do help her to also plan for the next classes. The Zoom chat will be made available to all participants as a downloadable PDF, and we will add that to your account when the recording is ready. And we want to acknowledge everyone, all of you who has joined this series. If you can believe it, we have participants from registered from 73 countries. That is spans 6 continents. And it's just incredible to continue to be connected in this way through these series. And our Pay from the Heart Scholarship has allowed more than 1,000 people to register for this course who otherwise may not have been able to. So we are all grateful for your presence here, whatever brought you here. And we do have a map that we put together of what these 73 countries look like. Deep, if you could put that on the screen. And here we are. This is what 73 countries looks like. We're all present here, either live today in this class or through the class recordings. And in the chat, please tell us where in the world you're from, what country, which of these 73 countries you're from. And feel how we're all connected. Focusing on what connects us in this world. It's wonderful to see all of these countries come in the chat. Thank you, everyone. Keep posting. Thank you, Amardeep. And now here's Bonnie class.
Around the world, we circle the earth. May we be as a string of pearls, with each pearl extending the circle. A Tai Chi image of the spine as a string of pearls, with to keep adding, may we keep adding pearls of peace, of loving kindness and well-being. I'm crying. How to hold our place. Each one, too much for one person, maybe not for you, but for me. But I can hold my place. Each of us holding our place. Together, we circle the earth. I traced with my finger on the map yesterday, up and down and around. Each one of us is so important. No one more than anyone else, equally in our place. A number of years ago, many now, because the pandemic was inserted into time, I saw a film. I don't know the source. Someone maybe can find it, but it was of the planet breathing. I don't remember how it did it, but it was maybe something NASA created. Do you remember, Len? We were at Esalen and it showed the earth breathing, how it went from, I can't remember, but it was a quote, a real something. And how we are breathing, each of us, and together. In a way, breath is invisible. I guess if you have some special instrument, we can feel the breath. So this series is not learning how to breathe. It's a natural gift. And yes, it involves the whole planet, the plants, mycelium. I'm not sure how all of that works, but we're all in this together. And just sitting with you coming in was almost more than I could hold. How to be so receptive. Not responsible, but receptive and offering. And sharing, willing to share, willingness to receive. I'm speaking to myself as well as with you. So in this session, each session will explore another experience of breathing. Again, not howling to breathe, but the breathing as it is. So in this first session, the first class, I would like to bring into our field, our practice, from the perspective of membranes and how membranes open and close. And there's the membrane of the skin between the me and the you and the me, of each of us, the me and the you. And how our membranes, in particular this outer skin membrane, can balance between incoming and outgoing breath. Sometimes the membrane, the skin becomes guarded and closed. And it did so because of protection, which was a good choice. we survived because we could close. But maybe the times change and we could open again. And how do we open when we no longer have to stay closed? And sometimes we're too open and oversensitive. And how do we close? And there's a cycle between opening and closing through the skin. And this has been primary for me as someone who has had difficulty in the world because of oversensitivity. And at times closing to protect that sensitivity. So how to cycle the incoming breath and the outflowing breath through the skin. We know there are pores in the skin, we sweat. Or if we leave our hands in water, they'll get kind of watery. Or if it's dry, the skin dries out. But how can our breath, yes, we have through the lungs, yes. But how do we breathe through our skin? Aging, I know about aging. Some of you do. When I see a baby, I just see that lusciousness of the fluidity of skin. And how I am getting warm, I can take this off. How I don't need to get dry just because I've gotten older. How to stay, not to stay young, no. I'm not a baby any longer. I'm an old woman, but I'm breathing through my skin. Do you feel the breathing in your skin? Or are you like, what is she talking about? Start from there. Don't start from what it is. Start from being where you are. And if you're like, start there. And then through. There's no should. In other words, you are breathing through your skin, whether you perceive it yet or not. It's nothing to learn. It's to become aware. And guess what? I need a tissue. I'll be back. My nose has started to breathe through the mucous membranes. Eyes. Sometimes my eyes get dry. How to breathe through the membranes. Through your back. through your belly, skin. So another class will focus on breathing in the belly and the organs, the pit of the pelvis. But now, again, not trying to make something. In our traditional science, we do things by doing them, and then we get feedback. And what I'm suggesting is open your awareness so that your awareness creates the act. In BMC, we say awareness is a motor act. Just awareness that you are breathing. So we're on the outside. I think I'm going to stand. So we've explored the pit. Now this is the surface. How our surface is breathing. So yes, there are muscles, but this is the breathing, opening and closing. How we're breathing through our skin. So you play a little bit, I'm going to come and watch. And for those of you who are new, I cannot see you, but I'm still watching. And if you look in the screen, I'm watching, even though I can't see you. Enjoy your skin. No. And if you're still here, trying to figure out, don't figure out. Release into the possibility that your skin is breathing. It has a different quality of music than something that's more muscular, but I could do it with my skin. My skin is opening and condensing. You'll have in your resources that Basha will give you the dermatomes of the skin, which are different in every person, but this is a map of something from which to measure that. What do I want to say? That will give insight into the nervous system. For those who are interested. So how your skin is breathing. Yeah, we're a whole cell. I just saw your question, Vanessa, about our skin teaching other parts of our cells, our membranes. I think all the membranes for me are talking to each other. And we're going to go with your question too, to the next meditation. So Amardeep, if you'll show us the first slide, please. The sperm releases its tail as it enters the cytoplasm of the egg. The whipping tail sets the egg spinning, spiraling through the uterine tube to the womb. The sister polar bodies guide the path of the sperm. The brother sperm beat upon the outer membrane, strengthening the sacred chamber. The dance of creation is accompanied by the rhythmic vibrations of drumming. So maybe I would like to close my eyes. You can keep yours open or closed. And somehow in our experience, we have experienced the drumming on the membrane of our original cell. And the sperm, with its membrane and tail, enters and sends us spiraling into our life. Is a dance. Yes, the outer membrane of the earth, of the planets, of the sun. Our cell was in our mother when she was an embryo in her mother. So our grandmother, maternal grandmother, was our first conduit into life in this world. So our biological mother, whether we knew her or not, the biological grandmother, and the great grandmother, and the great great, and the great great great. The breathing membrane of the body. The body, in a certain way, comes from the biological mother lineage. And we're going to look further into that. The polarity of the body, the forces of magnetism come from the sperm that gives life to the body through the centrioles. We'll do more. Okay, the next slide, please, Amardeep. A cell is surrounded by a two-layer membrane embedded with proteins called the plasma membrane. It protects the contents of the cell and modulates the passage of fluid and substances moving in and out of the cell. The area within the cell is called the cytoplasm. The cytoplasm contains subcellular structures, the organelles, within the cellular fluid called the cytosol. So we will not be exploring all of these structures in this series, but we will be exploring the mitochondria, and you will have a fairly large guide on the cell and each of these subcellular membranes. I began this study back in 1990. And there's a course in the third year of the practitioner program. But going to the subcellular as well as to the cell is similar to exploring the embryology, which we've done a lot in this 5 years of Zoom. Okay. I think to go to the next slide, please. So cellular membranes are double-layered membranes, and we have double-layered membranes. The single-layer membrane organisms are more the bacteria, blue-green algae that you'll look up on the internet. So our membranes are double-layered. The membranes of all eukaryotic cells, in your document, it's more explained. Eukaryotic cells have 2 layers, of which we are eukaryotic. There's more written in the document, which Basha will give to you. The membranes of all eukaryotic cells are composed of phospholipid molecules arranged in 2 layers. The heads are primary phosphates, and they bond with each other and water. The tails are composed of 2 long hydrocarbon chains, which are fat, and they bond with each other and avoid water. Again, you will have a document on this. And the next slide. When phospholipids are placed in water, they automatically form a double-layer membrane enclosed sphere. The phosphate heads will bond together and be on the outside in contact with the water. The hydrocarbon tails of fat will pack closely together on the inside and avoid contact with the water, similar to oil and water, or why we shake oil and vinegar dressing, because they're not chemically connected, it's mechanical. So this would be our body, but a cell, an organelle inside of the cell, and the cell surrounded by these membranes that have the heads on the outside and the innermost, and the tails in the middle. This is a long meditation, but we're going to do more. And now the next slide, please. In 2-layer membranes embedded with proteins, such as the cellular plasma membrane, some proteins are only in the outside layer, some only in the inside layer, and some are contained in both layers. Some of the proteins contain protein channels that passively transport solutes through the chemical interactions, and some that actively open and close. Both processes transport fluids and substances from the extracellular fluid outside the cell to the cytosol fluid inside of the cell, or from the cytosol in the cell to the extracellular fluid outside of the cell. Through embodiment research, I perceive that all cells in the body have porous structures that open and close to exchange fluid and substances between the intercellular cytosol fluid environment and the outer extracellular fluid environment. In this practice, two significant insights have emerged that can tone, strengthen, calm, and balance specific and overall membranes in the cells, tissues, and organs throughout the body. And these two are that we'll explore next. The channels that transport fluid and substances from one side of the membrane to the other are different than those that transport fluid and substances in the opposite direction. When the channels of one direction close, there's an automatic response in the channels of the opposite direction to open if they are not inhibited to do so. So I think come back to me, please. So I'm very excited about these two insights. They've really helped me a lot. So, well, how have they helped me? They've helped to calm my nervous system, for one thing, from being so oversensitive. At the same time, I'm more sensitive. Is that funny? I'm more open to experience because I'm not overloaded. It's not the answer to a question. It's a practice that might be helpful for you, and it might not. So what I would like to share of what I discovered for myself and a few other people is that the channels that open to exchange this, we breathe through fluid in the body, we breathe through the air out on the skin, but in the body or in the cell itself or through the cell to the extracellular fluid, that when there's the flow outward and then the flow inward, that they're different channels. So it's not like this channel opens and it goes out and comes in. But what I perceive is that it goes out this one, but it will come in another one. And the second thing that has emerged, the words are not the practice, but hopefully they'll help, that on the inhale, I'm going, I don't want to say inhale, exhale yet. In the process of going in one direction, goes here, it could be in the cell to the extracellular or from the extracellular into a different cell. When it goes through here, this closes. And that closure creates the opening of the exchange. I'm going to say that again. That when the pore, I'm calling them pores or windows or doors, when the pores open to let something go out one way, they close so that another can open for the exchange that closes, that opens. And that's different. Now I can maybe do practicing getting the words, inhaling. So now I'm not through the skin, but I don't want to hold the skin either. Inhaling and feeling. We could do it through the lungs or through the belly or through the, can do it anywhere where you feel breathing. Breathing in, feeling what membrane, feeling the membrane somewhere expanding, and then exhaling. Something's releasing. And go at your rhythm. This isn't a long breath, short breath, just your breathing. Something membranous is expanding, but something's going out of that membrane. And then releasing, something is coming in the other direction. So for now, let go of the out and the in, just feeling one direction, something expanding, it means something's coming in, right? And then something's going out and the membrane is condensing. So something expanding because something is coming in and something is condensing because something's going out. So with your hands, perhaps that can be helpful. That in the expanding, something's coming, fluid is coming in. And as the fluid goes out, there's a condensing. Could be in your arm. Fluid coming in, your arm expands. Fluid going out, condenses. Just playing with your own rhythm. Yes, Kelly, it's not about contracting. There's an expanding and a condensing. And it can be different. This can be expanding, this can be condensed. There can be different rhythms in different part of the body. Maybe we get confused because this is doing, and this is, and that's doing that. This is just focusing in one area and then another area, one at a time. So many things are happening. I'm wanting to share just this feeling of the fluid in one direction and the other direction. And then as you open your awareness, becomes more subtle, that the channels of the going in one direction are not the same as coming in the other direction. Or explore them going in and out of the same. For me, that stops my breathing. Maybe not for you. And then this is a practice. So if it's not coming to you like right away, don't push it. What is coming to you? Maybe just your breath. Be where you are, not where you want to be or where I tell you you should be, because I didn't mean to tell you that. Find out where you are, what you are doing, not what you want yourself to be doing. What is real? And know who you are. So Kathleen, how to see it all, right? It's just maybe start with the one thing that's clear. Because so many things are happening, and you have that ability of the whole. Just one thing. And you feel the coming in creates expansion. Be with that, and the going out. So in this hour and a half, I'm offering a lifetime practice, not an hour and a half practice. Unless you want it to be an hour and a half practice, it will be that. So the next thing I want to offer is that as you can feel the fluid going out, don't wait a long time, like a long, long breath, or don't go quick, but just breathing out in your rhythm, and then close the door and pause to bring weight, or suspend to bring lightness, whatever feels better. And in that pause or suspension, notice what opens automatically for the return. So the air, the fluid, in this case, coming in expands, and then I close that door. So it's the pause or suspending and waiting for the other direction, which would be the exhalation in this case, for the fluid to go out. It will open other channels because I closed the inhaling channel. And then at the end of that, close that channel and wait, pause for the inhaling channels to open. It's a lot. And if you're getting it here, forget it. Just go back to feeling your breathing. Everyone's in a different place in their practice. Each place is important and real. Feeling the inflow and the expansion, the outflow and the condensing. Feeling the inflow channels, closing them, and then allowing the others to open automatically. And then they close and these open. Maybe it's I'm reading the chat now. I'm enjoying that. Thank you for those of you who can type. Some of us would not be able to type in the midst of all this. My main suggestion is don't make any contractions and try to fiddle with it. be where you are. And if an area might be too loose, too tight, too numb, feel if there's any flow through there at the smallest level. Martina, maybe you'll fall asleep before the class is over. Yes, I'm speaking, Nina, of the cellular level. It's playing. I love Kathleen, you're very much awake and someone else was falling asleep. Isn't that great? We're not the same and yet we can communicate. I can't often read the chat, but I can have this period while you guys are breathing. You can start in any area and that expands, or you can start in the whole area and it can condense. Oh, I saw someone wrote scar tissue. This is wonderful for opening. I think maybe it's easier to start where it's easy to perceive the process and then gradually go to areas that are more difficult because the process is clear. But maybe you find to go to the area where there's difficulty and that will reveal the process. Again, we're going to be different. The same as some and different than others. I'll say a more personal thing that's happened in terms of go ahead and say it, Bonnie. It's been very helpful for the movement through my digestive tract. Much easier digestion and ease of evacuating. It's been great for digestive organs for myself and for someone else. I would be interested what you find, Asaki, on that. But not just that, it's the whole body. And the other thing that for me, is that I'm more homogenized instead of having everything happening at a different rhythm. More of me is in sync. So our cellular breathing is fluid, the lung breathing is air, but in the lung tissue, it's fluid. So when the air comes in the lungs, it goes to the alveoli, the little air sacs, but then it diffuses through the membrane and the air becomes fluid into the blood vessels carried to the heart. So another course, how the heart is the center of the breathing. So from the plants coming into the carbon dioxide to the lungs and to the heart, and then the heart spiraling into the body, into the cells, and from the cells, the carbon dioxide coming to the heart, spiraling to the lungs, to the plant. So between the plants and the cell is the heart. And this practice has also released some, maybe the word anxiety would fit for me, but tension in my heart, because there's more synchronicity. And somebody had mentioned to me that when they brought, not on the chat, but when they brought attention to their breathing stopped. And in a certain way, that the closure can be scary, right? Because I've also been with people with asthma, where some have trouble breathing on the inhale, some on the exhale. And there's something about the closure, if one can feel the weight or the suspension, it's different. The other can open automatically instead of them all closing. But to distinguish these from these. I don't know if there's any research for that. I've never heard of it in the science field, but in myself, or those of you who do hands-on work with others, when there's a difficulty. Yeah, otherwise, you'll play maybe more. When you place your hands on, after you feel it in yourself, feel the channels, where are the channels opening for that direction? And then where are the channels for the other direction? And where is the pause to open the other direction? So I saw your question on cellular, and I think we're ready for the next slide. So endocytosis and exocytosis. Cells swim in the viscous fluidity of extracellular fluid throughout the body. There's continual flow of fluid and substances between cells and the extracellular fluid via the cellular outer membrane, the plasma membrane. So in the first illustration, we have the extracellular fluid on the outside and the cytoplasm on the inside of the cell. And starting on the left with the arrow, there are, let's say just for language being easier for me, that's protein on the outside and the extracellular fluid there on the left. And then the membrane will fold around whatever that membrane channel is, and then it will create on the inside a Oh, I have it there. I don't have to make it all. Let me read it. Endocytosis is the process of transferring fluid and proteins and other substances from the extracellular fluid outside the cell to the cytoplasm inside the cell. The plasma membrane surrounds the proteins and forms vacuoles that carry the proteins to the organelles within the cell. So there we see the membrane forming the sphere. And then that vacuole will go to one of the organelles and fuse with the membrane of that organelle and then release the substance on the inside of that organelle. Now I have to get a slide because I can't read the other with the chat thing. Exocytosis is the process of transferring fluid and proteins and other substances from the cytoplasm inside the cells to the extracellular fluid outside the cell. Vacuoles within the cytoplasm carry proteins to the plasma membrane, fuse with it, and then release the proteins into the extracellular fluid outside the cell. Okay, the next slide, please. So the mitochondria, I'll just read it and I say it more clearly. Mitochondria, mitochondrion is singular, but I will always probably say mitochondria, so it may or may not be correct. Mitochondria are the organelles responsible for cellular respiration. They provide the power for most cellular activity by combining the glucose obtained through digestion and oxygen obtained through respiration to form carbon dioxide, water, free radicals, and ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is the energy source of the cell, ATP. Mitochondria are embedded in an envelope of two membranes, each composed of phospholipid bilayers containing specialized proteins. I'll read that since I kind of flubbed. Mitochondria are embedded in an envelope of two membranes, each composed of phospholipid bilayers containing specialized proteins. Mitochondria have a different DNA than the nucleus and are transmitted to the embryo primarily by the egg. They therefore carry the history of the biological mother's lineage. Molecules embedded in the mitochondria's inner membrane carry out the many steps required during cellular breathing and the production of ATP. The number of mitochondria in a cell is in proportion to the amount of activity in the cell. Increasing activity in the cell stimulates the mitochondria to reproduce. Mitochondria change their size and shape and move about the cell. Recent research shows that mitochondria also travel between cells to other cells. I just read that recently since we had the last course, and it was discovered about 10 years ago, but I hadn't found it and nobody had sent it to me. I hope you had pleasant dreams, Emily. This is phenomenal. It's phenomenal that mitochondria move between cells. It's just phenomenal. I keep saying the same word. So come back to me, please, Amardeep. I feel that we've been exploring mitochondria for 30 years, specifically for within the cell. So there's cellular breathing of the membranes of the cells, and then there's mitochondria breathing in the membranes of the mitochondria. So I want to say this without embodying what I want to say, which is a practice that when we have a pattern that causes us stress, that is stress, to talk about it, that we don't have to go to that pattern to talk about it. So we did a series maybe 2 years ago. I'll be right back. Okay. Meanwhile, you could practice where we explored holding a rock, picking up a rock. I'm going to put it down then at some point. And feeling the weight of the rock and putting it at different parts of the body to feel the weight of this. And when we feel, you can put it anywhere, where you feel the weight, then you can set it down and leave the weight in the rock so that you have the experience, in this situation, have the experience of this rock, but I leave the weight in the rock. So the story that I want to say is that I experienced a pattern of great stress, but I can sit it down. Let's see if I can, and leave it in the rock so that now I can tell about it. Thank you, Cynthia. But I don't have to hold it while I tell what I experienced. Can I do it, gang? Leave it in the rock. I carry the pattern that I'm wanting to share from before birth. So it's very much a primal pattern. Can I leave it in the rock? You'll help me. Thanks, Joe. That's several of you. You don't have to pick it up yourself. All right. That was the key I needed. Don't pick up. I needed to say that by my setting it down, you do not have to pick it up. And it had to do, watch my language, with the mitochondria. I have passed that pattern in the past from one mitochondria to the other. Instead of setting it down. We don't have to change the mother's lineage. I don't get your name. They have their own life. They passed it to us. We can set it down. But first, pick it up and hold it. Otherwise, how are you going to put it down? When you feel it in your whole being, in all the mitochondria. Thanks, gang. I can set it down. And you don't have to pick it up. Ha, Trish, how to put the rock down? You got to feel it first. That's the big question. So I'll pick it up again. Lay with it. Feel it. Feel it. You feel it anyway. Why don't you really feel it? Accept it. Absorb it. If you reject it, you can't put it down. If you put other rocks on top of it and make it heavier, you can't put it down until you take all of that. So take one off at a time. Take a pebble off, and then another pebble. Feel the weight of it, and maybe get 10 little rocks. Or 2, or just take 2 of them. Do you have rocks to put down? I imagine you've got a whole lot of them. Maybe it's a boulder that you can't put down, and you have to learn to sit against it to give you strength. Or maybe you climb a mountain, or you sit at the bottom of the mountain, or you go into the cave of the mountain. Or maybe it's only a petal that's so damn irritating. And I saw the word juggle, you juggle it until finally you can set it down. So these mitochondria, they're looking at how they carry cancer. They're looking at how this mitochondria is healthy and it sees one that's not healthy, and it divides. The healthy one divides in 2 and goes and helps the one that's struggling to survive and to heal. So our breathing at this basic level, and maybe we don't have energy. I certainly have been at the point of death. But at the mitochondria, breathing. And this one helps that one, that helps that one, and they divide. They divide by attention to multiply. And one thing that I've read about cancer over and over is that it doesn't like oxygen. And the mitochondria are what produces the ATP from the oxygen. So the more we receive, by attention, I probably mean awareness. Attention to be aware, to receive. I know there are no more slides. I'm looking. Bosch has put documents in your account. There are slides. I think we can open it to comments, Basha, or questions we have, maybe.
Sure. Okay, let's get to the questions. The first question is, do you talk more about the difference between condensing and contracting?
Okay. I see you're still having computer issue, but I'm so glad you're able to be with us. It's such a good question. Let me get a little ball. Getting a tissue that takes a minute longer. There's something that we call the peripheral pump, and it's the capillaries where the membranes of the capillaries where the fluid is going from the blood to the extracellular fluid to the cellular cytosol and the cytoplasm. In the capillaries, they're small enough that one blood cell can go through. So the blood cell stays in the capillary. It stays in the blood system unless you cut yourself. You can't tell, but a door ran into me yesterday. So that in the capillary bed, fluid is going from the capillary into the extracellular fluid, into then another membrane into the cell. Meanwhile, what the cell is produced, maybe it's, we studied not the hormones, but we looked at the endocrine system in the last series. The hormones go through the fluid and they go back into the capillary, which is small enough for one blood cell, which is carrying the oxygen. Ask the professor chat. So at that level, I can make everything complicated. Maybe this shows up better. If I squeeze the ball, can you tell I'm squeezing it like this? That's a contraction. That will engage a lot of membranes, including my muscles of the hand and all. But if I go to the capillaries and I feel the membranes, put this one down, and I feel the membranes of the capillaries, that's not contracting. It's resting my heart. So my heart doesn't have to pump around my body. So the heart isn't this big pump. It's a spiral that's moving things through it. And I can pick this one up. And then these capillaries everywhere, skin, digestive tract, spine. There's a condensing a closure and an opening, a closure and an opening. That's synchronizing. Maybe show more of me, please, Lana. Do I have to move back? Do it with me, because you can't learn from me. You learn from what? Your own experience. Don't take my word for it. My movement isn't your movement. Your movement. Am I contracting my muscles? Yes, but I'm not doing this. I'm inside. I'm in the vessels, and then I'm in the cells of the vessels. I'm in the mitochondria. It's an opening and closing, a receiving and expressing. I don't think I answered anything, but I had fun. Next, is there time for one more, or are we at the end?
We have time for a short one. I think I'm going to leave my video off for this if I'm having some connectivity issues and ask the question here. Okay, so we have, do mitochondria travel between cells via the same channels as fluid substances?
You know, this is for us to explore. This is a very new concept. But those of you who know me, I don't know if you feel the difference, but I really have become more I'm going to get off the ball because I can answer things better with movement than words. If I needed my whole body then, please. Thank you. If I put my hands down on the ground, on the floor, this magic carpet, those of you who know me, you'll need more of me on my hands. Do you see that my hand is almost flat? For those of you who don't know me, I was like this since I was 10 years old and gradually opening it. But just since the last series, my hand is more open. And it has to do, so I can show you because I can't do it better. If I go through the capillary, my capillary membranes, first of all, if I go on my muscles, I forget it. But if I go to the capillary bed, I'm like this. But if I go to the mitochondria, I'm like this. Should I do it again? If I just think of my muscles, you see there's not the same flow. If I don't know if you can see it, but I feel there's not the flow. I just put my hand down. But my hands are still amazingly open for myself looking. But then if I go through the capillary beds, I'm like this. I have some movement. But if I go to the mitochondria, I have this. I'm an animal. Play with it yourself. And then I know that we're nearing the end. I still would like to offer you the suggestion that you continue to sideline. Those of you who are new, I'll just do it and then it'll put me on the screen. This comes from a year ago. We started in September of last year to spend 10 minutes a day on each side. And I won't go into all the reasons now, except that it's phenomenal. It balances the front and the back, and we'll come back to it more, but it won't be the major theme of the class. And if you've been doing it and had a positive experience, maybe you can't lie that straight, or maybe you have to lie on the bed because you have a hip problem. Could be many reasons. Be comfortable, but eventually 10 minutes a day, especially if you run out of time and have no time, it's perfect. We're at the end of the first class. Thank you for joining all of us. Have a good week. And if you're watching this, not during this moment, it's this moment and another moment. Thank you. You can take it, Basha.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. As Bonnie mentioned at the beginning of class, what she's presenting here is a lifetime practice, one that she's been exploring for more than 60 years now. You can make what she's sharing 90-minute practices, or you can continue on as deeply as you'd like to explore it for your lifetime. Your registration does include unlimited lifetime access to the class recordings. Be patient with yourself, explore and approach the material, which is you, with curiosity. And if you're new here, it can take time. Be patient with yourself. Read through the study guide documents, look at anatomical pictures, look up words you may not be familiar with, and there is much more information in the study guide documents that Bonnie writes for you than she can present in class. So some of your questions can be answered by reading through those study guide documents. And of course, we encourage you to join an optional study group. Facilitators, study groups are being offered around the material Bonnie presents in this series. All facilitators have met specific educational and professional requirements. There are currently 16 study groups available, offered in English, Italian, Polish, and Portuguese, and one in English with French translation if needed, and one in English with German translation if needed. And you can find a list of study groups on our 2025 Fall Series resources page. If you are a study group facilitator in class today, please post about your study group in the chat. Thank you all for a wonderful first class. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here. I want to let you know about an upcoming online event where Bonnie will be the featured presenter. But first, just some important information about the class materials, resources, and frequently asked questions. So we have added 6 study guide documents to your account. I will send you an email after class with information about how to access those documents. You also have a video in your account called 2025 Fall Series Slides, and it has the colored slides that Bonnie shows in classes. We'll continue to add to that as this series unfolds. Most of the study guide documents have black and white versions of the colored slides that you see in class. Bonnie does encourage you to color your black and white versions of them. And these are for your own personal learning. And the 2025 Fall Series Slides video is a wonderful way to be able to quickly reference the slides she shows in class and to be able to refer back to them so you can color your own. I do have a little copyright notice I need to share with you. All of the illustrations and materials you receive from us are copyrighted materials of Bonnie Bainbridge Cohen. No part of the documents or videos, either text or image, may be used for any purpose other than your own study of the material. You may not share them with others, post them on social media, websites, blogs, use them in your classes, or print them out and print them up and hand them out. And we greatly appreciate you respecting Bonnie's copyright. She works very, very hard on these materials for you. Okay, so class recording will be made available through our website through online streaming. It takes 1 to 2 days typically to have the recording ready for you. I will send you an email when the recording is ready. The Zoom chat from today will be added to your account as a downloadable document when the class recording is ready. And English language captions will be added to the class recording when we receive them from the captioning company. We do have a page called 2025 Fall Series Resources page. If you have not read through that yet, we strongly encourage you to do so. Most of the questions that we get asked are answered on that page. We link to it in every email we send you. And some of the information on that page includes how to access class recordings and study guide documents, how to join a study group, free resources, recommended resources, and other things that Bonnie and her team have put together for you. We will continue to add to that as the series unfolds. Our emails sometimes go to spam or promotions folder rather than inboxes. Please remember to regularly check your spam folder as we are now underway and will be emailing you regularly. And the registration for the fall series is still open. We are going to keep the registration open. And Pay from the Heart scholarships and flexible payment plans are still available. Please share this with your communities. If you know of anybody who might be interested in studying with Bonnie, please let them know about it. If finances are an issue, let them know about the Pay from the Heart scholarship or the payment plans. We have been offering our Pay from the Heart scholarships for all of Bonnie's online series since the beginning of the pandemic in the summer of 2020. And these offer the Pay from the Heart scholarship offer people the opportunity to study with her based on what they are able to pay. It is a community project looking at how we can support one another as individuals and as a community. If you would like to help support the registration of those who do need the scholarship to attend this series, you can do so on our Support the Scholarship page on our website. Okay, so now for the upcoming event. Join Bonnie and the wider Body Mind Centering community for Liaisons. This 3-day online event is organized and hosted by the Body Mind Centering Association. It's going to spotlight some of the many ways in which body mind centering has been applied to a range of disciplines and help to shape cross exchanges between body mind centering and other somatic, creative, educational, and therapeutic approaches and disciplines. And as I said, Bonnie will be the featured presenter. She will be joined by other body mind centering teachers, practitioners, and explorers from more than 15 countries. Topics include body mind centering and contemplative practices, creative processes, body mind centering and dance performing arts education, body mind centering developmental movement education and therapy, and body mind centering informed psychotherapeutic and trauma approaches. The early registration discount has been extended through September 19th through tomorrow. All pricing is on a sliding scale. Please select a level that feels meaningful and sustainable to you. Registration and information can be found on the Body Mind Centering Association's website. Please note that this event is organized and hosted by the Body Mind Centering Association. And that is it. Last for minutes, we'll put some of the information I just mentioned on screen. And we look forward to being with you again on September 25th. Take care.